Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in the studios of our flagship stations, Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. In addition, today, as always, you can also join us on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, in Southfield on City Cable 15, and as well in Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Bloomfield Hills on Birmingham Area Municipal Access. Join us also live to tape on Comcast Channel 10 and AT&T Channel 99, on Orient Neighborhood Television, and on the media network of Waterford. Join us online, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link. For those of you watching us or looking to watch us on your computer, that will be at the top of the homepage there at civiccentertv.com on your computer, and then on your mobile phone as well on our website, civiccentertv.com. Go into the left margin of the screen. I'll point to the left side of your screen, which is my right. Left margin of the screen, top of that page. You'll click on those 3-4 lines at the top there, which will bring out a drop-down menu. Go to the bottom of that menu. Second up from the bottom is Watch Live, and there you go. You'll be able to watch us live as well as all of our other regular programming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on civiccentertv.com. If you'd rather watch us on our social media, you can head over to our Facebook pages, facebook.com/civiccentertv15 and facebook.com/lakesfm, or go over to My Michigan TV or My. Over at mymytv.com, where you can also learn how you can watch My Michigan TV and their programming, including us here at the Megacast, on your smart TV and on your smartphone. mymytv.com, where you'll also find us and other original programming such as Steve Lato Live and coverage of events around the state of Michigan and news stories on demand there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you want to learn more about all of our partnering television, radio, and other media outlets, find out more about what they do in the other 22 hours of the day, Monday through Friday and on the weekends, and give them some more support throughout the day as you join us for our 2 hours and them for the rest of the day. Go to our website, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Megacast link. We have links that go to each and every one of those outlets and their websites so you can find out more information. And that's also where we post all of our interviews and all of our full shows on demand for you to watch. Usually they're posted by sometime mid to late afternoon on the day of these shows, so you'll be able to go back and watch whatever interviews you may have missed, or if you miss our full episodes, that's where you'll find us live to tape on demand, civiccentertv.com/megacast. And then right next to that, lots of really important information that we give you direct access to, or help you get direct access to, at Civic Center TV's coronavirus page. There, if you click on the CDC resources, the state of Michigan's resources, or the Oakland County resources, you're going to find information about COVID-19 at the federal, state, and local level. This is where you'll be able to find up-to-date information on the spread of COVID-19. Where COVID-19 is being spread the fastest or being spread at the most alarming rates. More information on booster shots, on precautionary measures that we can take in places like Michigan, where we're at a significantly higher rate of transmission than most of the U.S. right now. You can learn more information about which tactics for prevention of spread of COVID-19 work the best, especially as we head into the holiday later on this week, and we're going to be gathering, most of us will be gathering with many people in our families and friends as well throughout that week and throughout that weekend. And we want to make sure we're staying safe. So learn more about that, and then learn more about vaccines, learn more about booster shots. All of that information can be found at any of those resources, whether it be the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or at the state level from the Health and Human Services Department, and then at the local level as well. Lots of important information and factual information, helpful information from our friends over at the Oakland County Health Division, as well as information about where you here in Oakland County, where we originate our broadcast, can schedule yourself for a vaccine, a booster shot, a flu shot, and more. And of course, we always suggest that you go to your local health department's webpage for more information on all of that in your local areas. We broadcast all throughout the state of Michigan, not just here in Oakland County. Also there on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus, we scour news outlets from throughout the state of Michigan for our top stories on the COVID front and more each and every day. And today, our top story from Bridge, Michigan: as COVID cases rise, the CDC approves boosters for all adults, and Michigan is urging masks. The CDC late on Friday approved COVID boosters for all adults days before millions of Americans are expected to travel for gatherings leading up to and beyond the Thanksgiving holiday. A CDC expert panel on Friday unanimously endorsed broad adult eligibility for either the Pfizer or Moderna boosters once 6 months have elapsed since recipients finished the 2-dose vaccines. Final approval came on Friday evening when CDC Director Rochelle Walensky signed off on recommendations to provide increased protection against the deadly virus. Meanwhile, as COVID cases surge in Michigan, the State Department of Health and Human Services issued an advisory on Friday urging residents to wear masks as they gather for the holidays or head toward holiday shopping and other business, even if they are vaccinated. The recommendation essentially formalizes the agency's long-standing advice, but unlike far stricter state policies a year ago, it carries no mandate. So, not quite much of an advisory there. It's more of a suggestion than anything. There is no legal standing behind it. You won't get in trouble for not wearing a mask unless, of course, you're like any other sane person and you qualify catching or spreading COVID-19 under the category of trouble. Continuing on, the federal action on Friday opened up boosters to millions more Americans 18 and older, including those otherwise healthy. Already, people who are immunocompromised, 65 and older, living in a long-term care facility, or otherwise at higher risk for COVID-19, were eligible to receive the third dose or COVID boosters. These higher risk groups are also eligible for a booster of the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The CDC has not yet signed off on making the J&J boosters broadly available to all adults. But last month, the CDC endorsed a mix and match approach to boosters, allowing those who were initially vaccinated with Johnson & Johnson to seek either a Pfizer or Moderna booster if that was more convenient to them. In Michigan, more than 1.2 million doses of vaccines have already been administered as quote-unquote additional doses for immunocompromised people or as boosters for others, according to state data. According to the CDC, in September, all 3 U.S.-approved COVID vaccines help prevent hospitalizations. The Moderna vaccine was shown to be 93% effective against hospitalizations from March 11th through August 15th, compared to Pfizer's 88% and Johnson & Johnson's 71%. It remains to be seen how much broader booster availability will tamp down infections in Michigan, which currently has one of the highest infection rates in the nation. Roughly 40% of Michigan's residents have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Continuing on, in this article, masks and flu shots in Lansing on Friday. The health department recommended that anyone over 2 and older wear masks at indoor gatherings regardless of their vaccine status. Businesses should also require masks of customers and employees, the MDHHS leaders said during a morning news conference on Friday. It's another move to help quote-unquote curb the steep upward curve of COVID-19, said Elizabeth Hertel, the director of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. The state stopped short of requiring masks, as it has for most of the past year, essentially formalizing existing advice and leaving it up to individual choice, which so far, based on the numbers in Michigan, individual choice has been frankly terrible. So, great decision-making there, it seems. That masking, experts have said, nearly zeroed out the spread of last year's flu and respiratory viruses. The state's mask recommendation is quote-unquote valid in that masks prevent spread, and that's especially true in schools, for example, said one member of a family doctors group that suggested them. But whether or not fully vaccinated members should mask when gathering around the Thanksgiving table, that's a different risk calculus than a family with a mix of vaccinated and unvaccinated members, said Dr. Reddy. The fact of the matter is, if you have multiple vaccinated adults, they understand their exposure. It's a real family decision. Others see the reality as even more blunt and grim. Those who refuse masks and vaccines, quote, can't be convinced regardless of how much information you get them, how many facts you present to them. They are dead set in their beliefs, said Dr. Russell Faust of the Oakland County Health Division. The Whitmer administration has also stepped up its calls for masks and flu shots as the state begins to see what some experts say could be a rough flu season ahead. That full story from the Bridge, Michigan on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Also making news here, Michigan's roads continue to be terrible. How do Michigan's roads rank, however, in the U.S.? A libertarian think tank has crunched the numbers. This from the Detroit News. Michigan's roads road conditions deteriorated as highways improved nationwide, according to a new report by the Reason Foundation. The state ranked 34th nationally, as I regain my ability to talk, in highway performances and cost effectiveness in 2021, dropping 10 spots in the libertarian think tank's annual highway report compared to the 2020 report, and landing in the bottom 10 states in several measured categories. Michigan was one of only 4 states, including New Mexico, South Carolina, and Ohio, to decline in the rankings by 10 spots or more in the same time period, compared with the 2020 report, which looked at 2018 and 2019. Since 2011, commute times have increased by 4.6% in the state, and individual drivers paid an average of $644 a year in costs related to driving on damaged roads. This, in addition to the $3.5 billion of bonds that the State Department of Transportation was authorized to issue over 4 years for the repair and rehabilitation of 122 major highways, per the self-described Fix the Damn Roads Governor, Gretchen Whitmer's report. The fiscal year 2019 budget was set by the legislature under the Snyder administration. Quote, "Our pavement is deteriorating more quickly than we can maintain it with the current funding level," said Diane Cross, the spokeswoman for MDOT, on Sunday. She continued on, quote, "The governor's $3.5 billion Rebuilding Michigan plan, now complemented by the federal legislation, will slow down the decline, but everyone agrees that long-term we need more and sustainable investment," and closed quote. The governor's office said Governor Whitmer is working on the roads and acknowledged more work is needed to, quote-unquote, make up for prior decades of disinvestment, and closed quote. To continue on, Bobby Letty, a spokesperson for the governor's administration, said, quote, "After decades of disinvestment in the state's aging infrastructure, Michigan has made a strong shift toward focusing on the type of investments that we need to rebuild roads and bridges across the state." Continuing on, Michigan's best rankings in the Reason Foundation's report were in the rural fatality and overall fatality rates on the highways, 7th and 14th, respectively. Compared to nearby states, the report found that Michigan's overall highway performance is worse than Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, but better than Illinois. So sad news there for Illinois, as our roads are comparatively awful to theirs, but our highway performance is better. So, keep your chin up, Michigan. Continuing on, Michigan is one of few states that could benefit from spending slightly more on its highway system to improve the overall conditions, said Barrick Feinbaum, lead author of the report by the Reason Foundation. Michigan spends around $92,500 per mile of state-controlled road. The country's most cost-effective highway systems, according to the report, were North Dakota, Virginia, Missouri, Kentucky, and North Carolina, while the worst combination of highway performance and cost effectiveness was found in the states of New Jersey, Rhode Island, Alaska, Hawaii, and New York. That full story with even more information and a link to the Reason Foundation's report from the Detroit News on our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. Lastly, making headlines here, it's the end of an era in the state of Michigan for one Michigan-based box store, as the last Kmart in Michigan has shuttered its doors, ending the dynasty's reign. This from the Detroit Free Press. The last Kmart in Michigan closed on Sunday, putting an official end to the longtime Michigan staple. Located in Marshall, a suburb of Battle Creek, with a population just over 7,000 on Michigan Avenue, it has been the last Kmart in Michigan since 2020. It was the only national big box retailer in the immediate area, likely what allowed it to stay open for business up until now. Quote, "You can go in and buy a birthday present if you need to without going out of town," said Brenda Hoyt, a Marshall resident, in a previous article from the Detroit Free Press. Hoyt continued on, "Clothes, toys, projects for kids for school, you can get it there," and close quote. Marshall City Manager Tom Tarkowitz said he particularly was concerned about how residents without cars will now get their shopping done. From Sebastian Kresge's first 5 and dime store in 1899 to now, the store has gone from a dynasty to a bankruptcy. They have a little bit of a look back at the history of the organization. We'll kind of go from the roots to the downfall and to now as we summarize this. Sebastian Kresge opened his first SS Kresge store on Woodward Avenue in Detroit in 1899. By 1912, he owned 85 stores, according to the Detroit Historical Society. The first official Kmart, however, opened in 1962 in Garden City by then SS Kresge president Harry Cunningham. Kresge died 4 years later in 1966, but the brand lived on until, of course, it went through a bankruptcy crisis. Every empire must fall, and Kmart was no different. Although it amassed more and more stores throughout the 1990s, company leaders also invested in purchasing other chains, all of which went out of business, which of course is bad for business. Competitors, including Target and Walmart, however, started surpassing it in sales, and in 2000, the company closed 72 stores. Just 2 years later, the company's finances steeply declined, and Kmart filed for bankruptcy on January 22nd of 2002. In 2004, it's still struggling. Kmart bought Sears from Sears Holding Corporation in an $11 billion sale meant to reinvigorate both companies, but it didn't work. The competition of other stores and the rise of the internet proved to be too big of a hurdle to jump. Then here comes the end of an era. By the end of 2021, there will only be 6 stores left across the continental U.S. of such kind. The original Kmart in Garden City closed in 2017, marking the beginning of the end. And now, 4 years later, the last one in its home state has closed, and it looks like there's not much more left to go from here. That full story from the Detroit Free Press, looking back at a staple Michigan-made business that is close to its official end, at our website, civiccentertv.com/coronavirus. We have an excellent show ahead of you today. Coming up next, Jeannine Gant, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit, will join us as our shared Detroit charity of the day. Of course, we have those with us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of each week at 10:20 a.m. She'll be joining us next. Then at the bottom of the hour at 10:40, we are pleased to be joined by Robert Shekel, the founder and owner of Shop Cadeau, located here in West Bloomfield. At 11 o'clock, Tracy Chirikas will join us. She is the Community Relations Manager and a peer recovery coach at the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. She will join us to begin the 11 o'clock hour. At 11:20, Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri will join us, both directors and producers of the documentary entitled Hamtramack, USA. And then we will cap off the show at 11:40 with Terry Stern. She is the founder and the owner of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, talking to us about appraising some of your fine art and other collectible items in your home. That is all coming up next. You are watching and listening to the Megacast.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township. Although we're broadcasting all throughout Oakland County and the Metro Detroit area and all throughout the state on a number of different outlets. Learn more about everywhere that we broadcast live and live to tape, and find us on demand on our website at civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link or just typing in civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Joining us now is Jeannine Gant. She is the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit, joining us as our Share Detroit supported charity of the day as we head into the giving season, approach Giving Tuesday, and go into the thick of the holiday season. Jeannine, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. What do you do, and then what geographical location or outlet do you cover?
Great, thanks for the question. So Big Brothers Big Sisters actually serves Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. We are a nonprofit organization, a youth empowerment organization that's really been in the community since the early 30s. But 1974 is the founding of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. We provide one-to-one mentoring for young people. We believe that the idea of making sure that young people feel that they have a sense of belonging is really important. And it's some work that we've been doing as our core competency for quite some time now. Big Brothers Big Sisters locally is a part of a national organization called Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. And we truly have a vision that all young people can achieve success in life. And we believe that when you put one adult mentor, well-trained, committed in the life of a young person, that it can really change the trajectory of their future.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Michigan, joining us on the Megacast. And so in terms of your coverage, you mentioned the coverage area and some of those services. How did Big Brothers Big Sisters originally get started? Because I've heard about this this program in a general sense and in a lot of different areas, but how did the organization itself find its origins?
Thanks for that question. You know, Big Brothers Big Sisters actually started as a diversion to young people who were in the juvenile justice system. Started back in New York by a judge who had been seeing a lot of young people coming into his court for what would be considered fairly petty crimes. And he felt like, you know, if we could intervene with these young people earlier, he wouldn't see them in his court system. And that then started Big Brothers. And for a long time, it was just Big Brothers. And then it became, they added Big Sisters, and we became Big Brothers and Big Sisters. In fact, the affiliate that's in the Detroit area is one of the first in the country. So we've been around for quite a long time, right? If you've heard about Big Brothers Big Sisters, there's not a day that goes by that I don't run into a former Big Brother or Big Sister mentor, or someone that may have been in our program as a young person.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant. She is the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. Learn more information on bbbsdetroit.org. Again, that is bbbsdetroit.org. And so there's different needs for every nonprofit, for every charity, charitable organization all throughout the year, but especially at this time of the year during the holidays. It's a tough season for every organization, and as they put their own push into the end of the year and beginning strong in the next year over. At this moment in time, what are the greatest needs for your organization from the community if they're willing and able to give?
We actually have, I would say, two major needs for our organization. The first need is always financial contributions. You know, we are an organization that is really staff driven. So it's, you know, what we do in our work is to provide a well-trained, well-screened mentor for a young person and provide ongoing training for them. And so we always have the need to have contributions that can help us to sustain our work and grow our work, right? So the more money we have, the more young people that we can serve throughout the community. And Oakland County is absolutely one of those communities that we want to be able to serve and support young people, especially young people who are dealing with a variety of challenges, as you mentioned. And one of the biggest things we're seeing right now is that young people are feeling disconnected, and a mentor provides them with an opportunity to be connected, which leads me to the second really important thing that we're looking for this holiday season. And that's mentors, right? People who are willing to step up and devote 4 hours a month, virtual and in person, for a year to support our young folks. And what a great holiday gift it would be, honestly, to give a young person that's been on our waiting list and looking for someone to come in and spend some time with them. So I think those would be the two biggest things for us: funding, financial contributions, as well as mentors for our young people. But I also want to add one more thing, if I can.
Sure.
Of course, we're always thinking about our families that our young people live in. Our young people don't live in a vacuum. They don't live by themselves. And as you said, many of the families that we serve are struggling. They are, in many cases, asset limited, income challenged, yet employed, right? A lot of these are essential workers and folks that we've come to know about over this past 2 years. And so we always look for other ways to support those families. Contributions during the holiday seasons allow us to perhaps provide resources that they might need. Coats for the young people, gloves for the young people, food for families and things like that. So the holiday season is also a time for others to give who may not want to mentor or make a cash contribution, but they can certainly step up and help in other ways.
So in terms of mentorship, that being the pillar of Big Brothers Big Sisters, certainly nationally, but also here in the Metro Detroit chapter of the organization, when people are considering volunteering as a mentor, what does the organization look for? What are those qualities that they're looking for in potential mentors?
That's a great question. Thank you. I think the biggest thing that we look for is someone that's going to be committed to our young folks. We have mentors that come in a variety of ages, backgrounds, genders. Just, we are the United Nations at Big Brothers Big Sisters. We just have so many different kinds of folks that come in and want to support our young people. But the biggest thing that we need in terms of a mentor is that you're committed, right? No matter what happens, you're going to be there for the young person and make sure that they feel connected. So we do go through a screening process for our volunteers. We do interviews, we do background checks, we check references. We are putting a stranger, if you will, in the life of a young person, and we want to make sure that they are safe. And that we know who they are, and we know that they're going to be committed to working with our young folks.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. Learn more information on their website at bbbsdetroit.org. And then, so once that mentor has begun to volunteer with the organization, to be mentoring a young person, what are the qualities that make for a successful mentor-mentee relationship?
Well, patience is a big one. In any kind of relationship, it takes a little bit of time to develop trust, to develop that openness. So I think patience is a tremendous characteristic that we'd be looking for in a big brother or big sister. Teachable. Many of our young people that we serve may be coming from a background that might be different from yours, whether they're children who might be in foster care, whether they're children that may have an incarcerated parent, maybe they're children who are racially and ethnically different from you. So we ask that people be teachable and have a willingness to learn. We ask that people are creative, frankly, right? We don't want you to spend a whole lot of money on outings and doing things with your young person, but there's so many free opportunities around in the community. So we ask that you are a resourceful person as well. And then mindful, right? Really mindful that many of the young people that we deal with or work with have a lot of adverse childhood experiences. And so really thinking about you as a mentor, how can you really step up and help to provide the kind of support that will be meaningful from them? And a lot of that is just exposing them, listening to them, taking them on outings, helping them with homework, a variety of those kind of things. But it really is about someone who has the ability to build a relationship with a young person.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. Jeannine, beyond the volunteer opportunities that are there for mentorship, of course, that being the big pillar of your organization, are there other volunteer opportunities that are available if people are looking to give their time this season?
Absolutely. One of the things that we started this past year was a tutoring program, and that seems to be working really well. You're still matched one-to-one with a young person, but really it's in a virtual space, and you're helping them with homework. And that's become something that volunteers seem to really like. The other thing is we have a program called Big Neighbors. So think about it this way: big brothers, big sisters, and big neighbors, right? We are looking for volunteers who want to be a part of the Big Brothers, Big Sisters community, and provide other kind of supports for our young people and families. This is really something we started last year during, at the height of the pandemic. We realized that many of our young people were disconnected from some of the resources that they would normally have, and that families were also disconnected. So we started this Big Neighbors program, where we had people in the community step up as volunteers and grocery shop for our families, drop those things off at their homes, making sure that our families had supplies and access to technology and things like that. And then it kind of has just morphed and evolved, right? We have groups that come in and do workshops for our families, activities for our youth and families. So there's this volunteer component that we have that's pretty open to folks that might have ideas on how we can support our young people and families. And they can register and go on our website, as you said, at bbbsdetroit.org, and look for non-mentor volunteer opportunities and register there.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant. She is the president and CEO of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. You can learn more information about volunteer opportunities and, of course, donate to the organization by visiting their website at bbbsdetroit.org. Again, that is bbbsdetroit.org. And so, Jeannine, we're heading into the holiday season. Of course, the Thanksgiving holiday coming up this week, and then it's a big shopping holiday, of course, after that with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But after that comes arguably the most important additional holiday day that's been added to our calendars each year, and that is Giving Tuesday. As we approach Giving Tuesday, right now, what are the best ways that people in our communities can give to an organization such as yours?
The best way to give to our organization is truly directly through our website. There is a way at bbbsdetroit.org/donate where you can look and see on that page where you can make a contribution online. Makes it pretty turnkey and easy. Giving Tuesday is definitely an important season for nonprofit organizations. And something that you mentioned I thought was really insightful, that the money we raise right now towards this end of the year allows us to go into the first part of next year full steam ahead, right? Ready to recruit mentors and get young people matched. Another cool thing that we're doing is we are actually holding a celebrity bartender event on Giving Tuesday, a chance for folks to come and meet our board and some of our staff and help us raise money for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So if anyone's interested in information about that, they can certainly go onto our website as well, or check out our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. There's always information about how you can support Big Brothers, Big Sisters through our social media.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant. She is the president and CEO of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit, joining us today on the Megacast, one of hundreds of charities and nonprofits supported by Share Detroit, who will be joining us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, now through and beyond Giving Tuesday, November 30th, on the show at 10:20 during our opening interview slot. And so, Jeannine, working with an organization like Share Detroit that's bringing a bunch of these charities and nonprofits into one place for people to find, what benefits does that bring to an organization like yours that is in need of volunteers, is in need of other services and other tangible needs throughout the year?
Share Detroit has been a great partner for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. We actually have been able to work with a lot of volunteers who have stepped up to serve as big neighbors for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And so that's been a great opportunity for us. I think when you create a giving space, a community space for people to volunteer, to learn about the needs of others in the community, it's beneficial for not just the organizations, but the community as a whole. So Share Detroit has been an amazing partner for us. I know they're fairly young, but we were eager to jump right on and be a part of their vision to make folks aware of opportunities that are needed in our community. for families, for just a variety of different kinds of causes, right? So the kind of cool thing about a Share Detroit is whatever you might care about, whatever really you're concerned about, whether it's housing or animals or young people, you can find an opportunity to get involved through Share Detroit. It's a great resource for our community.
We're joined by Jeannine Gant, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit, joining us on the Megacast. Again, you can learn more information about their organization by going to their website at bbbsdetroit.org. Jeannine, just another couple of minutes with you today before we'll say goodbye. Anything else that we didn't discuss about your organization that would be important for our audience to know, or any interesting things about the Big Brothers Big Sisters program that they should know before we say goodbye today?
You know, one of the big things that Big Brothers Big Sisters has been doing over this past year is really looking at our work through a lens of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We call it JEDI. But, you know, we need to make sure that we see some of the challenges and struggles of our young people, whether it's based on their race, whether it's based on their gender identity, whether it's based on issues like poverty. We really need to make sure that we're looking at the wholeness of our young people. And that the volunteers who are coming in want to be a part of that. So I would say, if I was going to leave with anything or any last minute thing, it's this is the lens that we're doing our work. And we are looking for people who want to be allies, right? Who want to step in and be a part of trying to create change in our country, so that everyone feels that they have a sense of belonging. So that's Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're allies, we're mentors, we're friends in the community.
Well, Jeannine, we thank you very much for joining us and telling us more about the Big Brothers Big Sisters program here in Metropolitan Detroit. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Again, you can learn more by visiting their website at bbbsdetroit.org or by going to sharedetroit.org, where you can learn more about Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit and hundreds of other charities and nonprofits doing great things here in Metro Detroit and across the state of Michigan as well. Again, we'll be joined by different Share Detroit charities Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:20 now through November 30th to talk to them about their charities and nonprofits. And once again, learn more about all of them by going to Share Detroit's website at sharedetroit.org. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will transition from charities to holiday shopping. For those of you that are looking for a big set of gifts for a loved one, for a friend, for family, for a coworker, or those companies out there looking to give away some gifts from the company to your employees or to your clients and so on, we have a great place for you to start that shopping right here in the West Bloomfield area where we originate our broadcast. Robert Shekel of Shop Cadell will join us next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council,
we work together to protect water resources for everyone.
Most of the pollution entering our rivers is carried by rainwater that runs off roads, parking lots, and rooftops.
a rain garden helps catch stormwater runoff.
Rain gardens and their plants help dirty runoff soak into the ground.
You can do your part to help keep our water clean.
Learn about rain gardens and native plants.
So consider a rain garden in your home landscaping.
Catch the runoff with a rain garden.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
I couldn't breathe at all. There was lots of talk about putting me on a ventilator. I thought I was gonna die. I was 39 weeks pregnant and had a scheduled C-section. During that time, I got COVID and was hospitalized for a month. I had a blood clot in my lungs. It caused me to go into right-sided heart failure. I was really scared. I kept texting my husband and my mom, telling them how scared I was, and I was worried that he was gonna grow up without a mom. And then I was worried if, when I did get home, that he wouldn't know who I was. You know, being 27 and a mom and a wife and having that all almost taken away from me. It's scary. And if a vaccine can prevent that from happening, why not? Get your vaccine. I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Joining us now is the president of Cadeau, Robert Chirikas, with us on the Megacast. Robert, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, Tyler. Glad to be here.
Good having you on. So tell us a little bit about Cadeau and what services that you provide. It's an online shop over at shopcadeau.com.
Absolutely. Shop Cadeau is a online company, but we are focusing on corporate and personal gifts. Most of them are curated with high quality products. And what we do is we're centered here in West Bloomfield, our fulfillment center. We ship nationwide. We have a wide range of customers like Nixon Library, Chapman University, Massimo, which is a very large company, and a lot of the hedge funds in New York. So we are helping to put West Bloomfield on the map. But most importantly, what we're doing is we're extending a culture of appreciation and showing companies how to do that for both their employees and their clients and customers. So everything from welcome packages for new employees through birthday gifts, retirement, maternity gifts from a corporation, all the way to gifts for customers. So as you can imagine right now, with the holiday season, it's our peak time period. We have just recently gone from an online consumer company to focus on our corporate. So right now we have a unique opportunity for those people in Michigan is that we have, with that change, I decided to liquidate a large amount of high quality consumer products for the whole family at 50% off. So we are very excited to be able to host at www.shopcadeau.com. And Cadeau, by the way, means gift in French. So we have a 50% off sale going on everything that you'll see. Brand new quality products, just things that are not going to be focused on our corporate selections. And so we have those available, whether somebody would like to come and shop online or in person here on Haggerty Road, we welcome them.
We're joined by Robert Chirikas. He is the president of Cadeau, based in West Bloomfield. You can learn more information at shopcadeau.com. So your company, of course, specializes in corporate and personal gift giving. You have on your website at shopcadeau.com some examples of many different sort of packages that you can provide for housewarming, for welcoming a baby. Of course, you mentioned for new employees that may be coming to a company, or retirees, whatever the case may be. But there's also some customization availability as well. And so that kind of creates a lot of variables. It's a lot of different occasions, but also people can customize these packages as well. So how do you get all of the products? Because people might be listening or might be interested in these. They might want something that's a little bit out of left field, or a lot of variety in these packages that they're giving to someone. So how do you go about fulfilling these packages before you ship them out nationwide?
Tyler, that's a great question, especially for corporate gifting. There is not one company that wants a standard package. So we customize all of our curations specifically for their needs. Some of them like more technology. Some of them like to have a warmer feel. Some are a little edgier. We can put logos and names on everything from a water bottle, but more importantly, even all the way up to a cashmere throw. We have a wide range of products. We have some of the best gift ideas nationwide from some of the largest carriers who are really known, like Louis Sherry, a chocolatier in New York, with custom tins. So all of those are done through our sales group, where somebody just contacts us directly at www.shopcadeau.com and goes online and tells us as a corporation they're interested in corporate gifting. And we're able to do that. But we can do acquisitions that companies are announcing, employee incentives that they're doing, but nothing is ever standardized, and we promote that. We have a very unique, the appeal is in the reveal, we say. Our gift box is a keepsake box that has tissue, wax seal, ribbon. It is really intended to be a high-end and, more importantly, just an impressive gift for employees or clients.
We're joined by Robert Chirikas. He is the president of Cadeau, based in West Bloomfield. You can learn more information on their website, shopcadeau.com. And so with all that variety, with all the customization, as you mentioned, you're very much arranging these on a specialty customer-to-customer basis before you're shipping them out. There's not really a whole lot of standard nature to these different gift packages. With that being said, with all those variables being in place, we know the supply chain issues that are affecting retail businesses especially, but really businesses across every sector. How are those supply chain issues affecting Cadeau and your ability, especially during peak season, which I would imagine this is, to provide your services?
Tyler, you couldn't set up a better question for me. Thank you. What we are essentially doing right now, we've ordered so much and have it in stock early. We attend all the major gift shows. I started buying in February at the beginning of the year. In the New York trade show, we've done Atlanta, all of those. So we are well stocked and prepared. And for the consumer gifts, as I was saying, because of the fact that we're no longer going to be carrying a lot of the consumer items that we have on the online store, we are liquidating those at 50% off, but we have everything from children's toys, clothing, men, women's, that are all immediately available at 50% off on the personal gift items. But from a corporate gift item, we are well stocked in some of the best Lexon names, or names like Lexon, that we are carrying that are really ideal for customers to be able to send immediately. So we have been very busy getting the orders in. As you can imagine, some corporate orders are sometimes as large as 500 items at the same time. And we are ready for them.
We're joined by Robert Chirikas. He's the president of Cadeau, based in West Bloomfield. Learn more information on their website at shopcadeau.com. Again, that is shopcadeau.com. And so as we're approaching the holiday season, obviously individuals are looking to do their holiday shopping for friends, for family, for co-workers, for whatever it may be, whatever may be the case. And then companies are also looking to begin their own holiday festivities and their end-of-the-year festivities as well, celebrating their employees. It's a busy season for you over at Cadeau, and it could be, especially with the issues we're having right now, supply chain-wise, that we just talked about, could be a busy season and a difficult season for people that are trying to get these specialty gifts put together. What are your suggestions for clients, corporate and individual, that are looking to shop with your company at this time to make sure that they're able to get what they're looking for during the holiday season?
Great. We're offering two very easy ways to be able to shop with shopcadeau.com. The first is obviously the website, where our prepackaged items and our individual items for friends, family are all on that website. You're able to shop directly from that. You'll get 50% off our items from retail pricing, which is really pretty much unheard of. We also are going to be having hours where people can come into our fulfillment center. We've created a small storefront at 3160 Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield. And what you'll be able to do is come in and shop. The items are already prepackaged, many of them, not all, but many of them are high quality prepackaged gift sets that we have. And the wrapping's done for you. The curation is done, the vessel is done, and all of that would be at 50% off if you want to shop in person and see that, if you enjoy it. We're also hosting small gifts, parties. If you want, just contact us, and we'd even be opening the store for you. But we'll be open to the general public Thursday and Friday from 10 to 7, and Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 5. So if somebody would actually really like to shop in person, see the merchandise, buy in bulk, or buy one-off prepackaged gifts, we're ready for you. If you want to be able to do it from the comfort of your home, COVID safe, you can also do that at www.shopcadeau.com, and we'll be able to have all that merchandise sent to you directly. As well, we can do the fulfillment right on the website and send that off to you. But either way, we're here for both consumer as well as corporate needs.
Again, that is
The consumers are getting a huge value right now at 50%. This is a liquidation of first run quality products. It won't last long, so this is one opportunity, especially with prices being higher and inventory being difficult to get. yet. We actually have it here for you right in stock, so we look forward to hosting all of you.
Again, that is shopcadeau.com for more information. We're joined by the president of Cadeau, Robert Shekel, with us on the Megacast. And so at this moment in time, during this season, or really just all together, what are some of the more popular packages that you have available to the public that are usually put together at Cadeau?
So we have some unique items that are one-time onlys, like that are just new products for the year. So we have the Octagon light from Ginkgo Company, which won all the design awards. It's actually a wireless light that can sit at an entry table, a gift table. It can be a nightstand light. It can also be in the middle of a dining room set where you're wanting to do it. It's USB powered. We also have something called a Caravino, which is a wine decanter that is car finished in red, white, and some other colors that are available to you. But the interesting thing is it has a built-in aerator, and at the bottom of the decanter, out pop wine actual glasses for you. Our cashmere throw is very well priced at like $129. It is always popular and come in a wide range of colors. But we have everything from candles, but more importantly, we've got the confections ready for the holiday. But we also have a Zoom package, a tech pack, that's very popular for people to give everything that you need to do to be ready for an effective and efficient Zoom, from lighting to speakers to the way my computer right now is currently set up. I can change the height and the width of the view. All of that is available, but we'll have everything from mugs to whole dinner sets. If you want to send someone packages of food, whether it be an individual or a large group, our gratitude boards. 2021 is the year of gifting. With entertainment as a priority, people are getting together this year that they haven't. So cutting boards are very popular. We have many things to help a host or hostess gift and entertain for the year. So those are also really popular. Many employers are giving things like that to their staff and or to their customers to show appreciation. Attrition and employee retention is really a big thing in the business. As you've seen in all the papers, people are quitting at astronomical rates. It's difficult to recruit. So we also have things for new hires. And I'll give you an example. One customer, when they've sent their new hire letter to the customer or the employee, we send a package on the third day, and that package arrives at the employee's home that says, "Welcome," and you open it up, and it actually has a sweatshirt, a notebook, a leather-bound book, a water bottle, everything to tell them they've made the right decision and that they're really excited to have them. But more importantly, the employer asked the employee to post it on their website or social media, Instagram, Facebook, and suddenly really good press is going out about the employer. They get hundreds of responses. "You've hired my daughter, she's a winner," or "Who is this company?" And they look them up. And it's been a great recruiting tool for them as well. So gifts can actually be, with intention, a good recruiting tool and a good business enabler, and that's what we're trying to do.
Well, Robert, we appreciate having you on. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Have a good day.
A message from the staff of Michigan's Crime Victim Compensation Program.
Anyone can be a victim of crime
and suffer lasting trauma, physically, emotionally, and financially.
But you are not alone.
If you're struggling financially due to a crime,
we're here
for you.
Find out if you qualify for crime victim compensation.
Call 877-251-7373 or visit michigan.gov/crime-victim.
A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Victim Services.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you did. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Whether you're the city,
the county,
or the Huron River Watershed Council.
As partners working together to protect our water resources, we agree.
Pet waste is a source of harmful bacteria in the Huron River.
When it's left on the ground, it can wash into the storm drains.
These lead directly to our streams. No filters, no treatment.
Here's one thing we know that can help keep our water clean.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
Pick up pet waste and trash it.
So pick up pet waste and trash it.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township. You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast. 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Joining us now is Tracy Chirikas. She is the Community Relations Manager and a peer recovery coach with the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, as we've seen a dramatic increase in drug overdoses over the past year, with the CDC reporting a 19% increase over the 12 months from April 2019 to 2020, with more than 2,900 Michiganders having died of drug overdoses last year. Tracy, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for the invitation. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate having you on as well. So give us a little bit of a rundown of what the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities does to help prevent drug misuse and drug abuse, and of course the overdoses that often, unfortunately, are a result of that misuse and abuse.
Thank you for that. Well, you know, the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities is a very multifaceted, faceted prevention organization. Forgive me, I guess I don't have my lips on today. So with that meaning, we bring forth a really strong prevention programming to equip our youth with coping skills and resiliency building skills. But we also have a recovery support arm, and that is where we work with individuals in recovery, those who may still be struggling with addiction, and their family members. As we're talking today on overdose deaths, yes, they have been up exponentially from 2019. Oakland County, for example, just to give you an idea, nationally speaking, in 2019, the nation experienced a 4.5% increase in accidental overdose deaths. Oakland County did not. We actually decreased during 2019, which showed that our efforts with our Save a Life program out in our community is impactful and it works. Unfortunately, as we all know, with COVID and what that pandemic did, it put us behind the 8 ball in an arena that, quite frankly, we weren't accustomed to. we had built this super strong community-wide program and quickly needed to adapt by pivoting to a virtual environment. We did increase from 2019 here in Oakland County during 2020, and that number was 255 individuals just in Oakland County who lost their struggle with substance use disorder. We became very creative, not just with those virtual trainings, but we wanted to connect with our communities. People who struggle with addiction need connection. And that was one of the driving forces that individuals found themselves in. And we created this drive up, drive through, very abbreviated, but impactful and effective Narcan training program for our communities. And we launched it out into some of the hardest hit communities. As a matter of fact, we're doing one today, which is why we're so excited to be a part of your program. We are doing that drive up, drive through right here at the Oakland Community Health Network building, located at 5505 Corporate Drive in Troy, right in the main entrance. You don't have to leave your car. We will have trainers coming right to your car. You're going to get a Save a Life bag, which includes a box of 2 doses of 4 milligram intranasal Narcan, as well as being trained and equipped on how to administer it. It is super safe and simple. And just this morning, when I was checking my emails very early, we had an individual who saved a life yesterday. So this program works. We are replacing her kit for free. We just want to get this information out. We want as many community members trained prior to this holiday as we possibly can. We are experiencing an uptick in accidental overdoses since October 1, and they are continuing to climb. So the more people that come out and just really understand what the signs and symptoms are, how easy and safe and simple it is to use this product, they too can help us save lives.
So for those that may not be familiar, you mentioned recognizing the signs and symptoms of an overdose being so critical. Of course, if you are someone that's trained to administer Narcan, recognizing those symptoms is the critical first step to administration. For those that may not be familiar, what does an overdose look like? Of course, it may be different from one situation to another, but what are some of those key signs and symptoms so that if someone witnesses an overdose but maybe doesn't have that Narcan training or isn't in possession of Narcan, can take action immediately and help this person?
Fantastic. So first off, we need to understand that we are all susceptible. You know, we have to stop putting ourselves in silos. We as human beings don't treat our pain very well, and we wait till the last minute, and then we overtake these medications. So some of those signs and symptoms we really want you to be aware of, to look at, would be an individual may start to nod out in front of you. That could be where they're sitting in front of you talking and they simply nod out, or they're standing in front of you and they nod out. But when they're standing, the body tries to naturally balance itself, so there'll be a little tip backwards. But when those eyes open, we want you to look at the pupils. The pupils will become extremely pinpoint. And when that occurs, we want you to understand that that means an opiate is in that person's system or a pain relieving medication. Opiate-based medications or street drugs are the only drugs that cause those pupils to become pinpoint. Their breathing may start to become very shallow or none at all. They might start to turn pale or blue, and usually you start to turn pale, and then it will go to a blue hueish. People of color, you want to pull back that cheek and look at that inner tissue on the inside of their cheek. If you hear gurgling sounds, or if you've ever known anyone with sleep apnea, it sounds like that. And it is very critical that we get them the basic skills to them right away to help reverse the effects. Usually, if you don't have your Narcan on you, the mere fact that you can recognize these signs and symptoms will allow you to quickly dial 911 and let them know where this individual is. If you're in a parking lot of a big box store, look up. what aisle am I in? What kind of vehicle am I standing behind? What am I clothed in, so that EMS and first responders can find me quickly to get the aid necessary to the individual.
We're joined by Tracy Chirikas. She is and she's with the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. They're community relations manager and also a peer recovery coach, joining us today on the Megacast. And so, mentioned the signs and the symptoms of an overdose for those that may be seeing family or seeing friends this holiday season for the first time in a while. Maybe they haven't been keeping up with this family member or these friends, and they may be able to recognize some changes that may be evident of drug misuse or a substance abuse issue. What are some signs that they can look out for so that they can either talk to this loved one of theirs and see if there is a problem, or maybe even seek help for them?
Well, let's break that down into categories of human beings.
Okay.
So if we're talking about elderly, they were one of the ones most isolated during the whole pandemic. So we really want to look at, has their pill taking management changed? And if it has, are they more forgetful? So you may want to invest in a different style of pill dispensing equipment for the elderly, where it literally has an alarm on it, and their pill tab will not open until that alarm goes off. That is a super simple, effective way to help keep our seniors safe. For our other loved ones, start paying attention to perhaps their hygiene. If they were always, very model-esque in their mannerisms, meaning hygienically clean and always matching, but now all of a sudden they don't seem to care, and their hygiene is a little less manicured, pay attention there, check in with them, see if they need help. It might not always be drugs. It could be mental health issues, because when we think about this may be the first Thanksgiving since the pandemic that we've been together in a really long time. So people don't always know how to step in to that scenario. They're a little bit more fearful, and it may cause some anxiety, maybe a little depression. If that seems to be a little more than normal, just sit and really listen to that individual and see how you can't help them. If they are taking medications that they didn't take prior to, ask them about that, and ask them if they're seeing their doctor regularly. Sometimes we just need to be heard as people, and we're all navigating the after effects of COVID very differently from one another, and it doesn't make any one person more right or less right. It just means we're human and we're trying to navigate it differently.
We're joined by Tracy Chirikas. She is the Community Relations Manager and a peer recovery coach at the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, joining us on the Megacast. And so, of course, we've heard the news recently about a dramatic rise in overdose deaths in Michigan and across the U.S., about a 19% increase between 2020 and currently over the past 12 months, with 2,900 total overdose deaths here in the state of Michigan during the last year. But here in Oakland County, as you mentioned earlier on, the numbers actually decreased. So differently than other areas, what's Oakland County doing that is setting them apart in this regard? And while other areas are increasing in overdose deaths, we here in Oakland County are experiencing less overdose deaths than before.
Well, let me correct that, because in 2019, we did decrease in Oakland County.
Okay.
We did increase in 2020, and we are remaining stable to 2020's number for 2021. But you know what? That's still not good enough.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. But I did want to make sure we corrected that. I believe that as the Alliance continues their efforts, we are back in doing live trainings. We trained last week, for example, the West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation Department, and that's a group of individuals that we have been wanting to train, not West Bloomfield in particular, but we really thank them because they see different groups of people than other people. So if we can get every entity trained in how to recognize those signs and symptoms and not to be afraid to step into that environment to help save a life, that's the difference. That's the game changer as far as what's going on in Oakland County. We are all working together. We all want to save lives. And I do believe that now that we're back doing live trainings as well as virtual, that will still stay, but we're doing live and virtual as well as drive up, drive through. We're really trying to meet our communities in whatever area that they need help in to get this information, number one. But number two, we want to make sure that we equip them by having a Save a Life kit so that they can, in fact, save lives. In what we're seeing right now is it's taking more doses than what individuals are carrying. So it's very critical that they notify 911 in the event of those signs and symptoms.
We're joined by Tracy Chirikas. She is the Community Relations Manager and a peer recovery coach at the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, joining us today on the Megacast. And then, Tracy, just another few minutes with you. But I do want to ask, for those that are experiencing addiction themselves, often seeking help for them, there's a little bit of a blockage to making that first step because they're feeling a sense of embarrassment or even shame for their addiction. For those that may be feeling this way, what steps do you suggest, or what outlets are there for them to work to overcome those feelings and ultimately seek the help that they know that they need in those cases, or in other cases may not know that they really need?
Thank you for that opportunity. One of the greatest resources that we do have here in Oakland County is our Sober Support Unit. As a parent of a loved one who struggled with substance use disorder, I want to assure you that there is hope, and you can, and oftentimes so many do recover from substance use disorder. It's about taking that first step. And you can find out what avenues and so many resources that are available to you by going to the Sober Support Unit. It is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's located at the Crisis and Resource Center at the 1200 North Telegraph location. You just walk in, you're going to be treated with so much dignity, grace, and compassion that you can't help but want to take that next step. You will get placed into treatment, oftentimes that very same day or the following morning, if you come in during, nighttime hours. You can go to any one of the police departments and connect up through Hope Not Handcuffs if that is what you would prefer to do. But you can also connect with the ride share program through the sheriff's group. All of us are working together. We care about you. We know your family loves you, and we know that there is help available to you. Inside of the Save a Life kits that you'll receive today when you come to training is an entire resource guide that gives you the now what next steps to take that will help you mitigate or navigate the stages of change that go for any of us trying to make a radical change in our lifestyle.
Well, Tracy, we thank you very much for joining us today. Before we let you go, anything else that would be important for our audience to be looking out for or to know at this time?
So, audience, if you could come to the 5505 Corporate Drive location today, get trained, because you just never know whose life you may be saving. It could be one of your loved ones. We welcome you and we encourage you, and we hope we see you today at our training. It's from 11:30 to 1:30. And without anything else, we just here at the Alliance want to wish everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Well, Tracy, we thank you very much for joining us, and thanks for the insight and the advice.
Thank you. Have a great holiday.
You as well. Again, you can learn more information by visiting the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities website at achcmi.org. That is achcmi.org. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will go down to Hamtramack and learn more about a documentary that first aired on PBS earlier on this year about the first majority Muslim city in the United States. We'll be joined by both directors and producers of the documentary Hamtramack, USA, Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri. Coming up next, you are watching and listening to the Megacast.
Who is struggling right now?
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
To Sophia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
72.7% of high school students get less than the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. This can cause pain, obesity, and can very negatively affect your mental health. When you have a consistent 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day, you get sick less often, lose more weight, and have better relationships with those around you. For more information about the dangers of sleep deprivation, go to sleepfoundation.org. This message is brought to you by the WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe, alongside our studio producer and board operator Calvin Brown in our studio in West Bloomfield Township. Although we're broadcasting all throughout the state of Michigan on a number of different television, radio, and web outlets. Learn more information. Find us on demand as well on civiccentertv.com by clicking on our Megacast link. Joining us now is Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri. They are both directors and producers of the documentary film Hamtramack, USA, that first aired earlier this year on PBS about the first majority Muslim city in the United States. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate having you on. So, this documentary follows a local election, which to most people, our local elections are something that's not really a big focus for them, let alone a compelling story. And yet, the two of you decided in this documentary, Hamtramack, USA, to put a big focus on the local election there in Hamtramack. What was the inspiration in deciding that that local election would be such a great basis to tell a story about Hamtramack?
We felt that Hamtramack, being such a unique place, America's first Muslim majority city, in a climate of Islamophobia and anti-immigration sentiment, was an important story to tell, and an important place to set a story about national conversations about multiculturalism and immigration about. Just to add a little context, Justin and I started working on the film towards the end of 2016, early 2017, which which was on the back end of the historic 2016 presidential election. And so that was definitely part of our motivation in wanting to tell the story about Hamtramck.
So what made the city of Hamtramck? Of course, it was settled by German farmers. It quickly became a home for people of Polish descent, Middle Eastern descent, Indian, Bangladeshian, and Pakistani descent as well. What made that city such a destination point for immigrants that ultimately built it into the city it is today?
Well, there's a lot of historic reasons why Hamtramck became the way that it did. The main thing is jobs. The automotive industry brought a lot of different kinds of people from different backgrounds to Metro Detroit in general. And then different ethnic groups started forming communities in places like Hamtramck. And so for most of its history, Hamtramck was known to be a Polish enclave. And so in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, when a lot of the Polish community started migrating outside of Hamtramck due to the loss of those jobs and due to other opportunities, upward social and economic mobility for the Polish community as well, that left a bit of a vacuum in places like Hamtramck and other parts of Metro Detroit. So that created a new opportunity for newer immigrants from places like Bangladesh and Yemen to come in. We also saw that there were people moving into Hamtramck, not just from overseas, but they were moving to Hamtramck from places like Queens and New York and Jackson Heights and Astoria to start a business or for marriage or other types of relationships. So we saw this kind of interesting migration taking place. Hamtramck has also been a place where lots of refugees have been resettled as well over the years. One of the more recent examples of it was in the mid-90s during the breakup of the former Yugoslavia, when thousands of Bosnian refugees were resettled in Hamtramck.
We're joined by both Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri, both directors and producers of the documentary Hamtramck, USA, joining us on the Megacast. And so with such a diverse population there in Hamtramck, politically speaking, and this documentary follows the story of a local election, as you said, back just before the historic election of 2016. It's following a local election with such a diverse community. Often there are a lot of different people that are going to try to be the voice of the city or voices of the city politically, and at times that can, in some more diverse areas, create factions of people or divisions, even in a very diverse and united community that you see in some place like Hamtramck. How was that addressed, or what lens did you look at that specific story within a story there in Hamtramck in your documentary?
Yeah, I think, for us, one of the main things we wanted to do when we first kind of talked about planning out the film is kind of give the voice back to Hamtramck and let them kind of lead the story. So, we talk about these different enclaves and different political factions. We kind of let them build organically and let them, the subjects themselves, kind of guide us to them. And, in a city as diverse as Hamtramck, the largest community may only be a third of the community. And so you really have to, although there's different enclaves, you really do have to go visit and advocate for every group. So, if you're going to be successful in Hamtramck, you cannot just rely on one ethnic community or one religious community even. You really do have to get out of your bubble and, really knock doors. I mean, throughout the film, we really show is the big thing that everyone has to do. And basically what it comes down to is knocking doors, get out the vote efforts, is going to everyone's home. And you may not know which home is which, So I think like a big thing in Hamtramck really isn't so much how you can kind of find your own, subsection of the city, but really reach every section of the city.
And so for any filmmaker in documentary or anybody just in general that's trying to learn about a community or to teach about a community, which inherently requires you to learn about it, you go in with different preconceived notions that you have to be aware of, ideally, so that they don't become a part of your storytelling, but also that you're able to disprove or modify or find out more about as you're in the process of making the films. For both of you, what preconceived notions did you maybe come into producing Hamtramack USA with, and what did you learn that maybe changed those points of views or modified the reason for having them? Let's start with you, Justin.
Okay, yeah. So, we really try to do a lot of research in the beginning. And I mean, so you'd watch a lot of news footage. And when you watch news footage of the city, there's this clash of the civilizations. There's this, us versus them. Is the new Muslim community, are they going to be welcoming of the, Christian communities? And then you get there and none of that stuff exists really. At least, sure that like any town, there's going to be political disagreements. There's going to be, some factions that may not always get along. People may not get along, but a lot of it's over the stuff that would happen in any city. It's one of the biggest political battles we saw in the city hall was over trash contracts. These are not things that have to do with religion like that you see in the news. And so I think that although everyone has their own ways of coming to the table, this is not something that is what divides the city in any meaningful sense usually.
And Razi, you as well.
Yeah, just to add to what Justin was saying, a lot of the coverage in the media and particularly news media about places like Hamtramack and also places like Dearborn as well, has been kind of sensationalized, and this sensationalized perspective is presented of what life in a place like Hamtramack is like. So for us, when we were working on the film, we wanted to let the city speak for itself, and any preconceived notions that anybody has, or that even Justin and I might have had, we hope that those preconceived notions might be deconstructed a bit through the lens of the experience of watching the film. And of course, we would encourage, your audience to watch the film and form their own opinions about a place like Hamtramack.
We're joined by Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri. They are the producers and directors of Hamtramack USA, a documentary that was released on PBS in March of 2020. You can learn more information by visiting hamtramackdocumentary.com, where you can also learn about how you can watch the film as well. So let's continue on with the discussion about the media perception of a city like Hamtramack. Often in diverse communities, especially in times of election, where there's inherent divides because it's a competition to some degree and a battle for power. Those divisions are often going to be what's put under the microscope by the media. And you mentioned that multiple times, especially in the last question when you were speaking about this issue, that you really wanted to give the people of Hamtramack the ability to provide their perspective, and they describe what the diversity of their city means to them. So in terms of Hamtramack residents, what did they perceive as being, how do they look at the diversity of their city? Is it more of in a positive light, or is it more of a divisiveness like has been portrayed by news media in particular?
Yeah, I think when you take any sort of major shift in demographics, you're going to have a spectrum of views and opinions about it. So you have all the way from people that are unhappy about it, and it's going to be a major impetus for them to leave a place like Hamtramack. And then on the other end, you're going to have people that are celebrating this type of diversity and really enjoying it. For the most part, we find people that are either accepting of the diversity or are really celebrating it. We didn't really come across too many people in the course of working on the project that were angry or that were disappointed about how Hamtramack has changed over the last 20, 30 years. And I think that's one of the things that Justin and I love to highlight in the film, is that, not only are we talking about this election that's taking place, but you get a wonderful snapshot, a beautiful mosaic of what a beautiful multicultural city is like. We spent a lot of time at festivals, both Polish festivals and Muslim holidays and Labor Day events and Memorial Day festivals and things like that. We spent time in churches and mosques and all kinds of cultural organizations and groups as they celebrate their holidays or their cultural events. And so for the most part, there's a type of multicultural ethos that's sort of marked and celebrated. And it's one of the things that I think Hamtramackans take a lot of pride in, is that they have a very, very diverse city. And this is represented in lots of different ways. So if you were to drive north or south on Joseph Campau, you would see the flags of the many nations from whom the residents of Hamtramack are comprised of. Within the high school, they also have something similar in the main hallway when you enter Hamtramack High School. You see all these different flags, and all of this type of ephemera and these types of artifacts and monuments to diversity and multiculturalism are there to celebrate multiculturalism and diversity.
We're joined by Razi, Jafri, and Justin Feltman. They are both directors and producers of the documentary Hamtramack USA. Learn more at hamtramackdocumentary.com. You can learn more information there and find out where you can watch the film as well. Again, that is hamtramackdocumentary.com. And so it's been, by the time the film was released, it had been 4 years since that previous election that you had covered in the documentary. Since then, what changes have been made demographically, politically, and so on in the city of Hamtramack that were maybe trending that direction from what you saw when you were collecting these stories, or maybe even differently from that?
Yeah, I mean, since it had been a while and, COVID delayed the release of the film by about a year. And so it's interesting because this year it has played out that another election season happened. So several of the characters we follow ran again, including the mayor, who did not win this time. They now have, or they will, starting next year, a Yemeni American mayor for the first time. And so, these are things that the shifts that happen over time. And, also Fadl didn't run for re-election. So I think when you look also at the field that ran in this election, it's an entirely new one. People are answering the call at different times, and communities who may have voted once, like anywhere in the country or in the world, you may have voted one way once, and then the next election you vote a different way, just kind of riding the ties and riding the kind of feelings of the moment. So yeah, it's not a community that's ever set in stone. It is right now, it is the first Muslim majority city in America. But in many ways, that just is kind of another way of saying it's always been an immigrant city. And so, each demographic changes, even within the idea of being a first Muslim majority city, that, the Bangladeshi community may have been more populated than the Yemeni community. And that, people are saying is now shifted as well. So these things are always shifting in the city, and always, it's always kind of interesting to watch now that we're done filming from afar and how these things kind of play out.
We're joined by Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri. They are both directors and producers of the documentary Hamtramack USA. You can view the documentary or learn where you can view it and learn more information by visiting their website at hamtramackdocumentary.com. So, Razi, let's start with you. This, of course, documentary released in 2020. What's on the horizon for you next in your film projects or other work that you're doing?
Yeah, Justin and I are working on a couple of projects. I'm also in graduate school right now, and I'm working on a film about a small group of Yemeni refugees that arrived in South Korea. And while I was working on this project over the summer as part of my thesis at the University of Michigan, I came across a serendipitous connection to Michigan. One of the refugees that I met, it turned out that his father lives in Dearborn and is an American citizen. And now the story has become about this family trying to reunite in Michigan that's separated over 4 countries. And I'm also working on completing a film that follows 3 Muslim chaplains in the U.S. military as they navigate religious freedom and Islamophobia. And that film is slated to be completed next year.
And Justin, how about you?
Yeah, well, I did want to say we're actually getting a encore presentation on PBS's America Reframe, PBS Worlds, on December 7th. And it will also be released digitally on January 25th through Grasshopper Films. That's also on the website, as you said, hamtramackdocumentary.com. As Razi said, we are working on a project together that kind of traces Islamophobia in the post 9/11 world. And then I'm also trying to work on, unfortunately, not returning to Michigan. I'm working on one closer to me back here in Virginia, and another project in West Virginia. So hopefully we'll be back in Michigan soon enough. But until then, it's been really awesome being a part of the Michigan community.
Well, Justin, Razi, thank you very much for joining us, telling us more about your documentary and other projects that you have going forward.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Again, you can learn more information about the documentary by visiting hamtramackdocumentary.com, or you can also learn more about the encore presentation by PBS coming in December 7th, as well as the digital release in late January of 2022. We're going to take another break, and on the other side, we'll have one final interview today. We'll be speaking with Terry Stern, the owner and founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
211, how can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources, call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
We may come from different organizations,
but we work together to protect the Huron River for everyone.
Neighborhood storm drains carry water directly to local creeks and streams. No filters, no treatment.
Storm drains also help reduce street flooding when it rains.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
It is easy to do your part by adopting a storm drain.
Find a storm drain, check it, and clear it every month.
So keep storm drains for rain only.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
If you are struggling to afford your internet bills during the pandemic, there's a temporary government program that may be able to help. It's called the Emergency Broadband Benefit, and it provides up to a $50 monthly discount on your broadband bill to qualifying households. Find more information about the program, including if you qualify and how to enroll, at fcc.gov/broadbandbenefit, or call toll-free at 833-511-0311.
A public service announcement from 89.3 Lakes FM.
We as Michiganders feel connected to this resource in a way that I think is really powerful.
Conservation starts with a caring, committed community.
For me, it's peaceful to have a relationship with the river.
Every single one of us has a role to make sure that those waterways stay safe and healthy, being careful about what goes down the storm drain.
Just even eliminating some of your single-use plastic makes a difference.
There's one water, and it's ours to protect.
Joining us now is Terry Stern. She is the founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, with us on the Megacast. Terry, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals and the services that you provide.
So I am an art appraiser accredited through the American Society of Appraisals, and we basically go into people's homes and appraise their art for insurance purposes. So we go to businesses and homes and photograph and do condition reports so that their insurance companies can make sure that they're covered on their insurance policies with their artwork.
So who needs appraisals? You mentioned for insurance purposes, for homeowners insurance, that can be helpful. Then how often do people need to be getting their belongings, certainly their collectibles, reappraised to keep that information up to date?
Sure. So typically an appraisal lasts 5 years. That's about how good the artist market is right now. So maybe a piece that you had appraised 4 years ago has gone up in value. So what I do with my clients is after it does hit 5 years, I go and email them and call them and let them know that we should probably revisit what they have appraised. So who needs an appraisal is someone who has artwork that is, and I like to say over $5,000 to $10,000 in value, because when you have a loss in your home, you have personal property coverage. So that includes all everything in your kitchen, your clothes, your furniture. But if you have artwork that's expensive, it's going to take a lot of that policy away. So let's say a blanket policy of a typical home is $100,000, and you've got two pieces of art that are worth $25,000 each. So now you only have $25,000 to $50,000 left on your insurance if there's a fire and there's a full loss on your home. So really having the art appraised is a really smart idea. It's almost like jewelry. The difference between the jewelry appraisals and the art appraisals are jewelry leaves the home, so it's more expensive to appraise. The art never leaves the home. So usually with an art claim, it's either one piece that's broke, fell off the wall, somebody bumped it, somebody ruined it, or an entire loss of the whole entire house with the fire. There's not a lot of theft in art in homes.
We're joined by Terry Stern. She is the founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, joining us today on the Megacast. And so when people are in need of appraising their art or other belongings for a number of different purposes, whether they're looking to sell or whether it's for insurance purposes, whatever the purpose may be, what are the steps that they should take in order to make sure that they are getting the best appraisal possible and that they're working with someone that knows what they're doing and is going to be giving them proper and quality consultation?
Sure. Well, the number one thing I tell people is to make sure that the appraiser you're using is accredited. There's not a lot of accredited appraisers in the country for fine arts, maybe 400 to 800. Most of them are in New York and Los Angeles. But anybody can be an appraiser, so you need to be a little bit careful. The government does not think that it's necessary to have guidance right now on this. I'm hoping that that changes. We actually are working with the Appraisal Foundation to see that that changes, because it's important. Because you want to make sure that your appraisals are done right. Often I'll go into homes where maybe the parent has passed away and the children are calling us in, and I see these old appraisals. Just this week it happened where it was a William de Kooning piece, and they credited the wrong title. And it makes a difference because the title of the piece, there's two pieces with different titles, they had different value. Some of them had better value than the others. So it's a mistake. So I think the number one thing is to make sure that they're accredited through a appraisal society, American Society of Appraisals, or the International Society of Appraisals. One of those are really the best two. Also, you want to make sure that you hire somebody that's going to come out to the home. Not going out to the home, letting you send pictures is kind of a no-no. I will do that, and I did that a lot during COVID. Actually, we came up with an interesting system. I had a client who had a piece that was over $1 million. It was a Helen Frankenthaler, and it needed to be, the insurance company was demanding that it get done right away. This was in the heart of COVID when everything was shut down in April. And so what I had the client do was I had them stand in front of the artwork with a newspaper with the date on it, and her husband took a picture of her with it. And that way we could document that the piece was in perfect condition, so that if there was, that my eyes weren't on it, that there was no issue if something were to happen with the piece.
So in the process of being accredited, what do appraisers or prospective appraisers go through in terms of training or certification to gain that accreditation and be certified, so to speak, as a quality appraiser?
Sure. So you have to take 4 personal property classes. I took them at SUNY Purchase, New York, and I took them at Massachusetts College of Art and Design. And they're week-long classes, and then you have to take an ethics exam. You have to take a USPAP exam, which is the United Standards of Professional Appraisal Practices, and then you have to take your personal property exam. And then once you have all the exams done, you have to turn in 2 reports, one fair market value and one that is insurance value. And that way you can make sure that it's all done. The process can take up to 5 years, honestly, but 2 to 3 years is really what it should take.
So on top of the of ensuring that your appraiser is accredited before you go through with an appraisal, what are some other red flags? And you mentioned a couple of them, but what are some other red flags that people that are looking to get some of their property appraised should be looking out for when they do hire an appraiser, or before they hire one even?
Sure. So not everyone knows everything. So like I have a specialty in glass. in Judaica, in religious relics, in graffiti. I have a specialty in Detroit artists, post-war, but someone calls me to do African art. I can't do it. I know my limits, and people don't sometimes know their limits. And when I see a piece of African art, which I love, and I do have clients that have it, I don't know if it's old or if it was just bought to made to look old. You know, there's really good fakes now out there. So the only way I can do those kind of appraisals are if they have the paperwork that they purchased with the artwork, so that I know what exactly tribe it is, what kind of wood it is. These are just things out of my wheelhouse. Got a call the other day to do some sports memorabilia. Again, if you have paperwork and all the proof of that they're real, then I will go ahead and do those for you. Asian art, there's no one in Michigan that can do Asian art. If you've got Asian art in Michigan and someone calls me, I tell them, do not use anyone in Michigan. You're gonna have to go to New York for it. You're gonna have to go somewhere that someone has that specialty. And most likely it's an Asian art specialty, and that's all they'll do. So it's really important to ask the right questions when you're hiring an appraiser.
We're joined by Terry Stern. She is the founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, with us on the Megacast. You also work with Le Shop 2 out of Kegel Harbor. It's a consignment shop for mid-century and fine furniture as well. Tell us about your partnership with them and some of the services that you help provide to them, as well as maybe even their customers.
Sure. So we were connected through our PR person. Tracy Chirikas was their PR person and my PR person. And I had a client who had like a $30,000 painting, and she wanted to sell it. And I had no idea. This was out of my wheelhouse again. And I was reaching out to auction houses, and Tracy connected me with Le Shop 2, and they were selling iconic furniture, and they had some art. But when I started entering with them, we really brought the art level up. Now we have, we sold a Roy Lichtenstein, we've sold Keith Haring, we've sold Banksy, not just decorative art anymore. So it was a really wonderful partnership, and it was great because then my clients had a way to sell their artwork. It's an amazing store. It's 16 or 17,000 square feet, and we're adding on 6,000 square feet because when we partnered, we realized there was such a need for selling art. There was also a need for auctioning art. There's two different ways to sell art. Obviously, you can sell at secondary market, or you can sell at auction. And with auction, you get a higher commission rate for your client. So it's kind of nice to be able to use that option. So we started an auction house, which we call Le Shop Auction House. And actually, our next auction is December 5th, and we've got some amazing art that's going to be on it.
So tell us a little bit more about that auction that will be coming up on December 5th. You mentioned it's going to have some amazing art that will be available for people to bid on and purchase at that auction. What are some of the pieces that people may be, or kinds of pieces that people may be able to find at that auction that may be of interest so they can prepare themselves for that auction?
All right. Well, there's something for everyone. The bidding starts at $50 to $45,000. But my favorite piece in the auction right now is we have a Victor Vasarely. He was an op artist from Hungary, and it's an original, and it's a showstopper. When I walked in the house and the client showed it to me, I just was floored. It was beautiful. I've seen and sold a lot of Vasarely's artwork, but not an original. So this is kind of exciting for me. We also have an Allen Hauser War Pony, which is an amazing Southwestern bronze piece. We have the cutest little Toshiko Takazu. It's called a rattle vase, and it's a ceramic vase, and it has a little rattle in it, and it makes a little rattle noise, and it's just such a cool piece. Oh, we have Carl Mills. Carl Mills was the sculptor head at Cranbrook, and we have two of his sculptures. One is a lot lower, I believe, a few $1,000s, maybe $3,000 or $4,000. The other one's a much higher reserve on the piece, much larger piece. We also have a Robert Natkin original that is also showstopper. It's a really large, beautiful, beautiful piece. And we have some amazing mid-century modern furniture. We have a Nakashima stacking table that is just out of this world, a lot of glass and ceramics, just really something for everyone at this auction.
We're joined by Terry Stern. She is the founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, joining us on the Megacast. And so you mentioned some of the art that's going to be coming up at this next auction with Le Shop Auction House. You've also been part of, as you also said, many other auctions in the past. What are some of the more interesting and compelling pieces that you've been a part of helping your clients auction off in the past?
So we had a first edition Charles and Ray Eames beautiful cabinet, and Charles and Ray Eames both went to Cranbrook and worked there as well, and it was just an incredible cabinet, and it sold for $45,000. I think the bidding started in the teens. It was amazing what happened. It ended up being purchased for an institution that's going to be on public view eventually, which was really exciting. It's always great when we know that a piece is going to an institution that everybody gets to see, but it really just blew our minds that this piece went for that much money. That was probably the most exciting piece we've had. We've had some agam. We have two in this coming up auction. They're called agamagraphs, where they're three-dimensional and they move, and he kind of came up with the concept that was really a really cool piece. Yeah.
We're joined by Terry Stern, the founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, joining us on the Megacast. And so, Terry, if somebody is preparing to sell some of their art or to sell some of their collectible items, maybe even put it up for auction, after they've gotten consultation from an appraiser and know the value of their property, what are the next steps that they should be taking as they prepare to sell or prepare to auction off and sell by that way their product?
Sure. So when I go out to home, when someone calls me, oh, I want to sell this, the first thing is we have to see which avenue is the best way to sell it. Some artists have terrible auction results and we have no idea why, and some have really great auction results. So we decide, is this better to sell auction or is this better to sell retail? So then once we know that it's going on auction, we bring it into the store. We have our amazing art handler go out and pick up the piece and bring it in safe and secure. And then it's insured at our store once it gets there. And then what we do is we research auction results and we see what the auction result is and where we should set the reserve and where we have the estimates of what it's going to be. So really, once the piece leaves their home, it's just sit back, grab the popcorn, and put on the auction and watch and wait and see what happens. Cross your fingers.
We're joined by Terry Stern. She is the owner of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals and the founder of Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, joining us today on the Megacast. Terry, just another few minutes with you before we'll say goodbye. Anything else people should know about auctioning off their art or other pieces or getting those pieces appraised at this time?
So what I like to tell people is that auction buyers are a little more savvy than someone that will walk into a gallery. And this is because you can usually get a better deal at auction. The reserves start lower. So maybe if a piece is selling retail for $10,000, the reserve at the auction might be $5,000. So if there's only one bidder, only you are interested in the piece, then you could walk away with this deal at $5,000. It's when the pieces get in a bidding war where they'll actually go up in a little bit of value. But the estimates that we put on our auction help people to know. So if it says it's an estimate between $10,000 and $15,000, that gives you an idea where it might land.
Well, Terry, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
Did you know that nearly 3.31 million Americans don't get their annual checkup? Going to the doctor regularly is extremely important and is a crucial factor in maintaining good health. Make sure you are visiting your local doctor often and telling them about any health concerns you have. For more information, contact your local healthcare provider. This message is brought to you by WBHS Digital Media Arts Program and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Achoo!
Welcome back to the Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe here in our studios in West Bloomfield Township. We've had a good show today, and we thank you for tuning in. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast. A big thank you to all of our guests who've joined us on today's edition of the show. Jeannine Gant, the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Detroit. Robert Shekel from Shop Cadeau. Tracy Chirikas joining us from the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. Of course, we have the two filmmakers, Justin Feltman and Razi Jafri, joining us from Hamtramack, USA, and of course our final guest, Terry Stern from Detroit Fine Arts Appraisals, with us on the Megacast. Big thank you to all of them. You can find all of our interviews on demand as well as our full episodes on our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast. There you'll also be able to learn more information about all the outlets that broadcast us live and live to tape during our regular shows Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. until 12 noon. Again, you can learn more information, civiccentertv.com/megacast. Then go over to our Corona coronavirus page, of course, for up-to-date information from the CDC, from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division regarding COVID-19, whether that be the spread of cases here in Oakland County in the state of Michigan at the entire national level, at the U.S. Learn more information about variants of COVID-19, about precautionary measures that we can take to prevent the spread, as well as find more information on how you can get vaccinated against COVID-19 locally, whether it be in Oakland County through the Oakland County Health Division or statewide through the MDHHS or anywhere in the U.S. if you're helping another family member also find where they can get vaccinated as well. Big thank you to our crew, Calvin Brown, our studio producer and board operator, with me in our studio Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until 12 noon. Our Zoom producer, Jared Clark, back at our Troy offices of My Michigan TV, getting all of our guests ready to come on the air today and getting them all set. And, of course, Larry Nyland, our booking producer as well. Got great programming coming up over here on Civic Center TV, our flagship station. And Steve Lato Live will be coming up next on My Michigan TV. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m.